got some Bears news and rumors to dive into. I'm Harrison Graham. Could Chicago sign Emmanuel Ogbah, the free agent defensive end? His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, provided an update on his free agency status. So let's listen to what he had to say and then go from there. Here's Rosenhaus earlier on Monday saying, things have really picked up for E-Man. He has a really strong market right now. This offseason, there were multiple teams that were interested in signing Emmanuel, but we didn't find the right fit economically or schematically. We want to make sure it's the right team playing in a 4-3 scheme. He was somewhat out of position in a 3-4, talking about last year. We're going to work really hard to put him into a scheme that will allow him to do the great things he did at the height of his career. Well, the Bears run a 4-3, so I think you check that box, right, in terms of if this could be a possibility. Oh, by the way, the Bears do need another pass rusher, a guy who's got starting capability and can rush the passer. So I think this could be a pretty ideal fit in Matt Eberflus' system, and just due to the fact that this team needs more pass rush help, something that, if Emmanuel Ogbah is healthy, he should be able to provide. You look at the best 3-year stretch of his career, 2019 to 21. He played in 27 games. He missed 6 games in 19 with the Kansas City Chiefs, so only played 10 games that year, but played, I think it was 27 games total, something like that, during that 3-year stretch. So he missed some time, but 23.5 sacks, 56 quarterback hits, 20 pass breakups, 5 forced fumbles, and that all came in 4-3 schemes, including in 2020 and 2021 when he had back-to-back 9-sack seasons. So he's a guy who is built to play in a 4-3 defense. They went to that Vic Fangio scheme, didn't really work out for Ogbah. He still had 5.5 sacks last year, but he kind of got, or was it 2 years ago? Can't remember now. He got phased out of that rotation a little bit. He's dealt with some injuries in recent years, but I think he fits the bill of a 4-3 defensive end. He's like 6'4", 270 pounds. He's got that big frame. Not a great run defender, but he's better than a guy like Yannick Ngakoue, and we know the Bears value that. They want guys who can set the edge as a run defender as well. He can get after the passer at least at a decent clip, and he's still, I think, only 30 years old. So I think this fit makes sense. Rosenhaus saying his client's interest is gaining steam across the league. Now, what else is he going to say? He's trying to hype his guy up. But I still think he can play in this league, and I would certainly have some interest. What do you guys think? Should the Bears sign Emmanuel Ogbah? Type S for sign or P for pass. What should the Bears do here? Should they sign Ogbah or should they pass on him? Curious to see what you guys think. I've thought about this a lot today. I actually think he's better than Yannick Ngakoue. I mentioned he's a much better run defender. And Ngakoue last year didn't rush the passer that well. Now, again, he was starting to play a little bit better once the Bears traded for Montez Sweat. And I'm not against re-signing Ngakoue. I've said it. I'd be fine and even would like the Bears re-signing him. They need to bring a pass rusher in here. But I think if all things were equal, if the money was the same, I think I'd go Ogbah over Ngakoue. I think he can at least give you what Yannick gave you last year, which wasn't a ton. And I think he's got potential to give you a little bit more and certainly some more consistency, especially against the run. All right, Velus Jones Jr., surprise camp standout. ESPN released an article of one surprise standout from the offseason, talking about minicamp and OTAs. Courtney Cronin mentioned Velus Jones. She pointed to the new kickoff rules, which I did kind of find interesting. I started reading some of the other ones, and I was like, this feels more of from Cronin's standpoint, who covers the Bears, obviously, than all the other writers cover their teams, of okay, is this someone who stood out in the spring, or is this someone who just benefits from a new rule? Because listen to what she had to say. This was the snippet, or some of the snippet. No one benefits from the changes to the kickoff rule more than the Bears' 2022 third-round pick. I agree. Velus Jones, who struggled to carve out a role during his first 2 seasons, will have to be the team's best returner to secure his spot on a crowded wide receiver depth chart, but he has a solid head start given his impact on special teams. Is there anything in there about how he looked and performed at OTAs or minicamp? It doesn't look like there is to me. We already kind of know this. Velus Jones is a great kickoff returner. He's one of the 5 or 6 best in the NFL. That's not new information. And yes, the new kickoff rule helps him. That's not new information. That's not a spring standout, though. I feel like, I don't want to, Courtney does a great job and I like her work, but there was nothing in that snippet she wrote up about how he had an awesome spring. Doesn't mean he didn't. I just found it interesting that this was the choice. I expected to read in there like, oh, he's taken steps as a receiver. There was nothing in there about that. I look at this the same way I have. Like, he's going to have to compete for a roster spot. Like Tyler Scott, DeAndre Carter, who's on board now, Dante Pettis, Colin Johnson, Velus Jones, Freddie Swain. Like, all these guys are going to compete for wide receiver spots 4, 5, and 6 if they keep 6 guys. And the question continues to be this with Velus Jones. Can he contribute on offense? If he can, I think he's on this team. If he can't, he still might be on this team, but it's got to be tougher because he's really going to have to be an awesome kickoff returner and find other ways to contribute in different special teams roles as a gunner, which he's done at times in the past, and other areas as well. Can he return punts? I think the Carter signing kind of signals he's at least going to be your punt returner unless someone beats him out. So, look, through 26 games, this is what he's done offensively. Not even 300 total yards, 2 total touchdowns. He struggles to catch the ball consistently. He struggles to track the ball in the air, which is why they don't trust him as a punt returner anymore. There's no doubt this is a player to watch at training camp. Like, Velus Jones is going to be in the spotlight because he's entering year 3. He's been a disappointment overall. 3rd-round pick. Like, can things click? New offensive coordinator, can they find a role for him? Or is he kind of just a kickoff returner that is battling for a roster spot in that regard? We'll see. I'm rooting for him. He's got great speed. If he could find a niche in this offense, that would be great because he is a dynamic player with the ball in his hands. I've always thought he'd be better as kind of a Cordero Patterson running back type who lines up more at running back than a receiver, but doesn't seem like the Bears are going to utilize him that much in that regard. So what do you guys think? Will Velus Jones make the Bears 53-man roster? Type Y for yes, he will, or type N for no, he won't. We got some Caleb Williams jerseys available for you guys. If you want to pick one up today, go to chatsports.com/Caleb. Chatsports.com/Caleb. Link is in the comments and in the description. We got the navies, the whites, the oranges. They're all there. Chatsports.com/Caleb. Click and shop today. Link in the comments and in the description. Pick yourself up a Caleb Williams jersey. All right, I want to get to the CBS Sports Top 100 list that Pete Presco, I think is his name, he puts it out every year. They've got 3 Bears in the top 100. I'll tell you who they are, and then I'll kind of give more reaction here. Jaylen Johnson was the highest graded one, 34th overall player. That feels probably right. You could argue last year alone he was better than this, but 3 pretty good years followed by a dominant year. 34th overall player, that feels justified. Montez Sweat, 73, also feels right. Like, really good player, probably not a dominant player, so 73 is probably right. You think about it, 32 teams in the NFL. He would be a lot of teams' 2nd, 3rd best player. I mean, that kind of checks out. DJ Moore, 84. I thought this was a little low, and I know there's a lot of receivers in this league. I think DJ Moore is a better player than Montez Sweat overall. That's how I feel. They're both very, very good. I think Moore is a little bit better. Like, I would have had him in the 50s. Like, I think George Pickens was in the 60s. Like, Moore is clearly a better player last year. Pickens has a higher ceiling probably, but he hasn't reached it yet. A couple others. I think Nico Collins was higher, and I'm like, Nico Collins put up less numbers last year, and he got to play with C.J. Stroud. Like, we all love Justin Fields, but, like, let's be honest. Like, C.J. Stroud is a faster or Justin Fields? I'll take C.J. Stroud. My takeaways are this. DJ Moore, too low. Keenan Allen should absolutely be on this list. He had over 1,200 yards in 13 games played last year. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Like, he's a top 100 player. And I think TJ Edwards is a top 100 player. He's a top 5-6 off-ball linebacker last year. I don't know how many off-ball guys made it, but I think he's worthy of being a top 100 player in this league. Beyond that, I don't think like a Tremaine Edmonds or a Tevin Jenkins would be on that list. Cole Kmet's probably just on the outside as an overall player. But those are a couple of my thoughts. I think Keenan and TJ should have been in there, and DJ Moore's too. And quite frankly, not only should Keenan have been on there, he probably should be top 75, top 80. Like, he's still a very, very good player. You got 2 top 12 receivers on this team. They should both be in the top 100. All right, speaking of which, if you had to pick one guy, who is the Bears' best pure player right now? Just best player on the team. Like, hey, you're the best player. I'd say it's Jaylen or DJ, right? Like, I think those are the top 2 guys you'd point to. Jaylen was an all-pro caliber corner last year. DJ was by far your best player on offense, carried you at times. Yards after the catch machine a year ago. So I'd say one of those two, but if you have a different thought, let me know down in the comments below. All right, subscribe to the channel. We will continue to cover the Chicago Bears here on a daily basis here on Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. Hit that sub button and turn on notifications.